r/ask Reddit. What rules were put in place because of you? No sign language during silent lunch punishment. My lunch period was so loud we got put on silent lunch for over a month straight. I decided the only clear solution was to teach my entire table sign language so we could still talk without getting in trouble. Apparently it was unfair to the kids who didn't know how to sign, so we had to stop. That seems like something your school should have encouraged. Agreed. Inventive, creative, educational. A friend of mine in a military school found out the regs never stated what color the bed sheets for a bed made for inspection had to be in. So this madman went and bought Power Ranger sheets and made the perfect regulation bed. I have never seen so many SGTs lose their shit but be unable to do anything since the regs were perfectly followed. Needless to say, the next year they were updated to state sheets must be plain white. Ducking with your sergeant is a risky play. I bet they were happy just to yell about something new. Back in the day, a radio station had a weekly trivia contest. The prize was a free pizza and movie rental. Somehow my mom figured out which book they were using for the trivia questions. She bought it and memorized all the answers. Each week we would call in immediately. Sometimes we were the first, but even if we weren't it didn't matter because other people were usually just guessing. We won almost every time. Even though we changed up who would actually make the call, they eventually figured out we were all from the same household. So they made it a rule you couldn't win if your family had already won in the last month or whatever. Up till then, we enjoyed a lot of free pizzas. Some guys at the local telephone company were call jamming any radio station giveaway in my large Midwestern city. All the stations banned any telco employee from winning. Jerry was an almost daily winner. That's awesome. I was home from surgery and listened to the radio all day. I figured out the rotation of the giveaways in the landline days. I would dial all the numbers but one, and right on schedule I would hit the last number to be caller number 1. Now here's the trick: if you don't hang up, you will still be there when they pick up the phone again. So I would be caller 1, 3, 5, etc. They got hip after I took my whole neighborhood to see Aerosmith with like 30 free tickets, posters, shirts and albums. Low-tech days. My brother and I got into a cattle prod sword fight at a farm store. We shocked the hell out of each other a few times and now they are locked up. We were in our 30s. You fight like a dairy farmer. How appropriate. You fight like a cow. Gets zapped with cattle prod. Reminds me of that line from The Road to El Dorado. You fight like my sister. I fought your sister. That is a compliment. I put a croissant in one of those hotel toasters. It soon became engulfed in flames and needed extinguishing. Next day at breakfast they made a sign that said, if you'd like your croissant toasted, please ask a member of staff. How? If it's the kind of toaster I'm thinking of, the croissant gets stuck when it reaches the back and the belt continues to move. Stuck soft bread catches on fire quickly in the back of the toaster eater. I worked at a restaurant that uses these toasters. Our croissants were always very soft and flaky. We would unstick them with our long bread knives. I got our HR box taken away at work because the HR lady threatened not to pay us if we missed a clock in or clock out. In our defense, the phones didn't always work and the clock in system was really unreliable. And I printed out the law stating that was illegal, highlighted it, and put it in her box when no one was around. She threw an unholy fit and tried to figure out who put it in her box. And from then on everything had to be handed in personally, lol. She sounds like the worst kind of HR person, honestly. Like she should darn well know that's illegal. Oh, she's a grade A dunt, lol. I'm so thankful that I will be leaving in a few weeks. Finally I get to add a personal story to Reddit. When I was walking home from school, I had to walk next to the road to get to my house. I decided to see if I could walk with my eyes closed. I didn't feel the transition from gravel to road, and the cars didn't honk at me, as they made a line, because they thought I was deaf. I heard a noise, looked back, and ran off the street into an orchard. 2 weeks later, they put up deaf child area signs on both sides of the road I live on. This entire thread is r/kids eradicating stupid material, but this one really takes the cake. Like, why are children always making decisions that could get them killed for fun, lmao? LOL. To be fair, this was the worst decision I've ever made. Been doing much better since. My junior high made a rule against yo-yos in class after I tried to do a trick and my yo-yo flew across the room and broke a glass beaker set. I'm sorry, guys. At least you didn't kill goldfish like Bart. At a ballpark I worked concessions at, they had an all-you-can-eat promo day where tickets were more expensive than usual, but concessions around the stadium were free, excluding alcohol. So I worked that day and of course it was chaos. But when the lines started dying down later in the game they started sending some of the hourly employees home, myself included, but of course, I didn't go home. After I clocked out, I stayed in the stadium and got some cheeseburgers and Philly steak and soda and found an empty seat in the crowd for the last few innings. Next year, same promo, but new rule for staff. If you get sent home early, you have to actually leave the stadium. Boo. You work concessions. The one free day a year, you deserve it the most. The weird thing about low paying jobs is that the powers that be will literally never throw you a bone. It's like they try to make it as miserable as possible. In middle school I would use Sharpies to tattoo myself. Other kids thought it was cool so I started charging $1 per drawing wherever they wanted. Principal found out and after I wouldn't stop, she put a ban on Sharpies for the entire school. Even the teachers couldn't bring them in. I'm a tattoo artist now. I bet you did a ton of that cool S-letter thing that every middle schooler is obsessed with drawing. Stroke. LLLLLL. ILLILL. This took me way too long. If it doesn't work, it was the damn cool S. Edit. It didn't work. Edit 2. OFC. My first awards happened to be from me embarrassing myself. My younger brother was always late to school. Small school. And was tardy. He figured out if he just skipped first period and went to second he was counted as being on school and no late penalty because he was at second period on time. They changed this the following year. PPL really need to look at what behavior the rules are encouraging. I did something similar. 5 minutes late equals absent, so if I was 5 minutes late I just wouldn't go. Missed a lot of school. I had a soccer coach who would make the whole team run if one of us was late to practice, so my teammates and I made a rule that if you were going to be late, you wouldn't come. Coach caught on eventually. We confessed. And no more running if one of us was late. No typewriters in class. I was kind of a shit kid and while my school allowed us to use laptops, I would play video games. Primarily Warcraft 3. In class. No sound or anything, so I wasn't being a complete nuisance. But I wasn't doing my work. A teacher told me I couldn't use my laptop. I happened to have a 1950s Remington QuietWriter portable, all mechanical typewriter. It was anything but quiet, with all of the TAKKA ding you'd expect from a typewriter. After one full day of studiously taking notes and doing my assignments via typewriter, my teacher said I could use my laptop as long as I didn't bring the typewriter to class. That is aggressively following the rules. R/malicious compliance. My elementary school was located in the center of the neighborhood, and my 5th grade class was the first to get outdoor trailers for classrooms. We'd ask for bathroom passes and then walk home. Next year they built a fence around the school. This is a keep it to yourself issue. You can't let everyone know the get out of school free trick because someone will notice if everyone is doing it. Golf users can no longer return an unlimited of balls for tokens. When I was maybe 12ish there was a kids outdoor play area, go-karts, batting cages, and indoor was something like a Chuck E. Cheese, token based games, etc. You could get a wristband for maybe $15 and it'd get you unlimited rides, mini golf and some other activities. Everything else cost tokens. When you finished golfing you'd get 2 tokens for bringing your ball back. Unlimited golf. $0. 50 worth of play value inside. So my friends and I would go there, speed run 2 golf games and give the balls back. $1 to our pockets. Later on we started just fishing balls out of the water hazards and turning them in. Subtly at first and then in bulk later. The guys working there didn't care or actively laughed at it. So we'd have a few hundred tokens. Then we started selling them 5 for $1. We stopped buying the unlimited bands. I'd bike there and earn $25 in a couple of hours. Management eventually caught on and altered the token for ball exchange. Lil Hustler. If they'd have been really savvy, they should have just fired whoever was supposed to be cleaning balls from the water hazards and let you keep working for them. Male students are not allowed to wear hair accessories. We had the rule about hair not touching collars. Couldn't be past eyebrows or over the ears. I grew my hair out and just put it up in headbands after receiving multiple detentions and fighting them and winning. The next year, they made the rule. Although you could theoretically use just gel to form your hair into a beehive, or turn it into a bun, or braid it from the nape of your neck up to your forehead and then back down the center. So many choices. Liberty spikes. Minor one. But when I was in elementary school, we had one of those bridge building challenges using toothpicks and hot glue. My partner and I realized if we just coated the entire thing with a thick ass layer of hot glue, it would make our bridge strong as hell. So we used like a full pack of hot glue sticks, like 20 of them. It was more glue than toothpicks, so after that they limited the number of glue sticks you could use. I mean, technically you demonstrated that when you combine materials together they often become stronger than they would have been apart, like when you put a steel rod inside of concrete. No more than 4 margaritas per person on dollar margarita and beer night in college. Some friends and I used to go to a Mexican restaurant every Thursday and often on Saturdays for $1 margaritas. As a group, we would go through a lot. Then they put the rule in. Then they changed it to $2 margaritas and $1 draft beers. Still a good deal, IMHO. Yeah, that's still a steal, especially for poor college kids. We had a 24-hour pancake house near my college. They did all you can eat pancakes from 10 PM to 4 AM. It was like $10. They consistently had large groups of college kids show up and down pancakes for a few hours a night. I remember the one time I went with a group of wrestlers and football players. They didn't ever change their policy, but man, it had to have been discussed every once in a while. In history class in high school, there was about 10 of us really close friends. We would take every opportunity to make your mom jokes. A couple months into class, the teacher made us sign a treaty promising to stop making fun of each other's moms. We signed it and started making fun of each other's dads. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Local amusement park added a no blindfolds on roller coasters rule because of me. When I was in middle school, my friend and I thought it would enhance the overall experience if we blindfolded ourselves on the biggest roller coaster at a local amusement park. We got one of those pictures they take on the ride, and there we are, blindfolded in the middle of a tunnel, having the time of our lives. Looking back, we easily could have strangled ourselves or worse because we literally just used scarves tied around our heads. Next year we went back to the same roller coaster and they had added a no blindfolds or loose accessories to the list of rules before the ride. I mean, you could also just close your eyes, but points for style. It's been 15 years and this thought has literally never crossed my mind once. Went straight to the blindfolds. Uber expense with drinks for clients at my work. Years ago we took a bunch of clients out and everyone had way too much to drink, so I ordered everyone Ubers home. Turned in the expense report to our account manager. Just under $400 in Ubers, and she had no clue what an Uber was. I explained to my bosses that we expense drinks for clients, why not expense Ubers? Now if we pay for drinks for clients, we also pay for Ubers. This is worded suspiciously wholesome. Did they make it so if you expense drinks on the company card then you also expense Uber on the company card? Because if so, that's awesome. Yes, we are a smaller company that has been around for a long time but is not up to date with times. We still have no website, don't have direct deposit for our employees, and we still have a freaking typewriter because one of our clients likes the font. Anyway, we are able to use the card for food drinks now for things that were not used before, like taking Ubers home. I am the youngest person by 14 years in the office, so the Uber thing has caught on. I wish you could have been there when I explained OnlyFans to them because 4 of my co-workers have daughters in college. I got the Ryan's Steakhouse buffets in Louisville, KY, to put baby changing stations in the men's bathrooms back in the 90s. It's so stupid that baby changing stations in men's bathrooms aren't more common. The only options you end up with are to change your baby on the floor or countertop, or go into the women's restroom and hope nobody freaks out. No makeup. I went to an all-boys school, and apparently this never came up until me and my emo friends rocked up in black eyeliner and lipstick. Like a Puerto Rican whore. Let me guess, 2009? Oh, I was a teacher who coached debate and took the team of high school students on weekend tournament trips. I had new rules every year and my co-coach and I privately called them the name of the student. E.g. the Jess rule was that if you assaulted anyone, you were sent home. The Annie rule was no debating in fake accents. There was the Dylan rule, which was no communal porn watching in the hotel rooms. Jess rule number 2 was do everything you can to vomit into the garbage can or toilet and not on the floor. Jess rule number 3 was no yelling at nurses in the ear that you are a virgin when they ask you to take a pregnancy test. Jess rule number 4 was we can cut you off after 12 minutes of no stop talking. Jess was a character, obviously. Did Jess take these rules in stride? She relished in them. I had to sue my school district back in high school just to leave special education after fighting it for over a decade. Special education students now have the right built into every single IEP to attend any standard education class in their grade level or below, earn the associated credits, and also go to both health education and driver's education. They could do none of that before the lawsuit. So if I'm getting this, you got yourself to the point where you were on par with your peers, or close to it, and they told you you had to stay in the special education classes until the end. That's ducked. I was on par from the get-go. I was diagnosed with a form of autism at a young age, and the school treated all disorders and disabilities the same. You can no longer skip to the end of training videos at Wendy's. I completed about 10 hours of this training when it was implemented, after I'd already been working there a year, in about 45 minutes. Open, skip, 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 do test, rinse and repeat. I was quite proud of my estimated time, 45 minutes. Time to completion 2 minutes. My store, which is a franchise location, got a call from corporate like an hour later. I didn't have to redo any of it though. The company I work for, the videos are skippable. I always skip them when doing some stupid refresher training or whatever. Nobody seems to notice. I don't think it was a rule, but it was kind of an unspoken thing. I was the only brown kid in my school and would act out for attention acceptance, and my classmates would get a huge laugh out of it, but I would be sent to the principal's office every day. I think my principal knew I wasn't a bad kid just looking for attention. He moved a permanent desk into his office for me, and every day when I got sent down I would sit there. Had my name on it and everything. By the end of that school year I would pack snacks for both of us, lol. Haven't thought about that principal in a while, but I hope he is well and was patient with other kids as he was with me. Update. I tracked down what school he's currently working at. Called to find out when he'd get a free moment, and they said he makes time to speak to parents and students after school at 3:15. Going to wait in the office until he's free. Wish me luck. Hopefully he remembers me. Update number 2. I met with him today. He didn't have time to speak to me directly after school went out, but I did wait until he had time a couple hours later. He remembered me very clearly. Mentioned that he attended both mine and my baby sister's high school graduation. He was our elementary school principal, so it's sweet to know he went out of his way to keep up with all of his students. He then offered to buy me a hat. I forgot, but he confiscated one of my hats because I was wearing it in class, lol. I'm glad everyone encouraged me to reach out. It took me a while for this update because I didn't think I would be so moved by him remembering me. I think it's a good time to reconnect and have a laugh about it. I think he will love it. My older brother got a curfew enforced at Boy Scout camp when one of the leaders noticed him walking around the area in the daytime with his eyes closed, counting steps. He may have just been practicing being blind, but the adults assumed he was figuring out how to get around at night without lights so he could get into some kind of mischief. Which, knowing my brother, was also possible. P.S. If you're one of those people saying but, you're not thinking like an 11-year-old. This sounds like some Calvin and Hobbes stuff. I had a teacher in 7th grade that banned the use of the word shamu. We apparently were using it as a joke answer to everything, which I had started doing as a once-in-a-lifetime joke for the 1 hour period. News spread, I guess, that she didn't like it, and soon all the 7 class periods were giggling and saying shamu to everything she said. I came in 2 days later to a referral, an accusation that I had organized the shamu party, and the entirety of her classes were instructed to never mention shamu in her presence again. It was obscure to say the least. Edit. So I've noticed a few replies saying she thought I was calling her fat. Yes, I believe that is true, and I'm sorry that that was something I caused. I was a young kid from San Diego who went to SeaWorld twice a month from birth to 6th grade, moved to Northern Virginia, and shamu was just sort of a concept to me. Reading the comments, I actually feel horrified. I never had any intention to do something like that. I pray that wasn't what happened. We managed something like that, except it was a hyper-religious teacher who kicked off one time someone said Jesus Christ as an exclamation in response to something. So everyone started doing that. So she banned that, and then people started using the football player John Carver instead as the exclamation, and she slowly got more and more pissed off about it. A good times Lomfeo. Was the kids' book Freindel based on you? Well, I doubt they're teaching the class these days, but when I took advanced programming techniques using Fortran, our professor added a line to all our projects stating that all programs had to be written in Fortran and only in Fortran. When a student asked why he'd added that, he told the class to ask me. I just grinned. I still got a perfect score on the one where I had a Fortran shell call on assembler subroutine which did 99% of the work. Didn't understand most of this, but congrats on the result. That must have been such a victorious moment. Imagine you're given a project with the instructions: create a robot that makes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But all you make is a robot that only plays a recording that shouts, "Help, make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich," in such a way that a human comes along and does it every time. Using Fortran to call an assembly routine is like making a robot that successfully asks humans to do things for it. Local job center no longer has working USB ports on public PCs because I found private files on multiple PCs with far too much private information about strangers. That seems like a really drastic solution. They could just make a script that erases the publicly accessible folders on a schedule. Most libraries and stuff that I've been to do that. So if you copy a document to the desktop, it gets removed within hours. They also make it clear that nothing stored on the computer is kept permanently. The dual major on my degree is no longer offered after I proved it would have been logistically impossible to graduate with it without my specific transfer credits. I'm confused. Did the school offer a degree program but did not have all the classes necessary to fulfill it? I am curious. And what was the dual major? My university offered forensic science degrees with a pre-approved list of dual majors. So forensic pathology is forensics pre-med, etc. I was the first person to pick forensic computing. The issue is that forensics requires all the life science WIDA courses first year, and CompC has all the STEM WIDA courses first year, just on required courses with no electives. First year students will have to pick up a 180% course load. If I hadn't completed a year of engineering, I would not have been able to schedule, let alone complete, all the requisite courses, and I had to fight to get those counted. Things got worse from there. Courses I'd take from one stream would exclude me from taking required courses for the other stream and subsequent years. By the end of the degree I was on a first name basis with the registrar's front office staff. Most notably, I wasn't allowed to take the course entitled Computer Forensics because it was only open to third years, and by that time I'd taken too many CompC credits to qualify. I was allowed to audit the course but I didn't receive a grade or a credit. I got the Dean of Forensics to admit they hadn't thought it through when they offered it, and they stopped doing so in my second year. So I'm essentially the only person with my degree. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.